Here we have the all-new 2023 GMC Hummer EV. Now this pickup comes in the Edition 1 trim level, so we have that standard interstellar white paint, and then we have jet black, light gray leather, and I believe those bolsters are vinyl. And then we have 3 electric motors powering this truck, 2 on the rear axle, 1 on the front. And that's all getting power through, I believe, a 212 kilowatt, usable kilowatt hour battery. As we come around to the front end here, we have the signature LED light bar. It doesn't flash like that. That's just how the camera's picking it up. And then we have the LED headlamps as well, and just a fantastic look. It's just a menacing truck. It's crazy how it can be beautiful and just downright tough at the same time. But a great look. We have 18-inch aluminum wheels here. Passive keyless entry on all 4 doors. And then we have power door lock controls here, memory seat functions here. Just hit set, hold the number you want to set it to, and then a recall, just hit that button. And then we have electronic child lock, rear window lock here, power folding side mirrors. Those do have blind spot monitors in them. And then we can pick a side for the power mirror controls that adjust with a dial, and then express down on all 4 windows. Bottle holders there. Then we do have a Bose sound system, which sounds incredible. I tested it out. And then over here, electronic parking brake, power hood function, and then that lift gate. We do have the multi-flex tailgate there, and then lane keeping system, power all the windows down, bed lamp, and then gauge cluster brightness, power tilt and telescoping steering wheel, and sorry about the dinging, but there's our power driver's seat with power lumbar support. But I have that seat up front adjusted for someone of my size, being 6'3" with longer legs. So we're gonna check out the rear leg room. And you can't really see the window sticker here, but that price is $115,090. Of course, this is fully loaded with this being an Edition 1. Love this rear door panel here, just having the bottle holder there, then additional storage there. Let's go ahead and hop in here. So I'm glad that there's a good amount of leg room here, even with the seat pretty far back. And one thing I find interesting is I've been in older Hummers and they just feel so much bigger than this, even though this doesn't really, it's not much smaller. It is smaller. It just feels so much more usable, if that makes sense. Easier to drive, I guess. The seat back pockets are on both sides. We do have our rear AC controls here with 3-stage heated outboard seats. We can toggle that auto mode, adjust fan speed, and then set fan direction there, adjust temperature. And then we have a USB-C, USB-A charge port there. Additional storage down below. And then we do have a 3-prong plug-in down there. I believe it's a 120 volt. And then we do have the infinity sky panels. So pretty easy to take that out. Just pull that latch, and then you'll take it out on the side there. And then you have covers, which I'll show you in a minute, up front. But that's the same for all 4 panels. And then fold this down, bottle holders are in here. And then we do have storage behind the actual seat as well. But an interesting feel with these seats. Again, like all of this here is like some weatherproof vinyl or whatever, and then this is leather, this is vinyl, and then where the seats are heated and cooled, the actual inserts in the middle are leather, and like this is leather here, but this is vinyl. So very interesting. But to the charge port here, we do have DC fast charging capability, and this will take up to 350 kilowatts in the charge port there. Now coming around to the back end here, we do get the LED tail lamps as well. They're a pretty great look. Now you can use the key fob to open the front as well as the cargo area here, but you can hit this button, and then that button to the left you can use to lower the multi-flex tailgate there. And then this one is going to have the kicker sound system put in it. It's just hasn't been installed yet. So, and then we have a 120 volt 3-prong back here, and pretty usable storage area. We'll take a quick look underneath the vehicle. So a lot of protection down there, especially for that battery pack if you're gonna be taking this off-road, and that's why this is so capable. And then plenty of stuff going on underneath the seat. You can use it as storage if you want to. I think this is the charger right in here. And then to the front passenger seat, same adjustability as the driver's side, 4-way power lumbar support, all of that. And we have a pretty big storage pocket underneath the shifter and whatnot here. And then a lockable glove compartment. Owner's manuals are in there. But it is very reminiscent of the older Hummers, again, just with the interior space feeling so huge, especially with those transparent roof panels. I had the wrong button. So we do have that front trunk space here, and then we have these 4 bags that come with the vehicle, and you have the panels there, and you could just slide them in there so that they don't get damaged. And then you just want to hold that button to close it. Let's go ahead and hop in the driver's seat. So we have the leather wrap steering wheel here, SuperCruise indicator, and then the little sensor that makes sure you're paying attention is right there. And we can heat the steering wheel over to the side here. But to the actual radio, love the screen, especially the looks here. It can be, especially in these settings, a little slow to activate, especially when you first get in after a while. But after you kind of get it going once, it's not an issue. But there's so much that you can see here, it's crazy. Half this stuff, I don't even know what it is, but pretty neat how you can just scroll through and see what's going on. So very, very neat. Now we do have the Google map system here, so this does require a subscription. And you do have the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto compatibility, so you can use that if you don't want to necessarily use the Google Maps anyway. I like the system, but it's kind of based on preference if you want to pay for it. For the full setup, I should say. Now, Bluetooth pairing, pretty easy to do that, walks you right through it. And then we do also have AM, FM, XM radio with Bluetooth, and then Amazon Alexa along with the Google News podcast, and then the USB port. Now the energy map, or the energy settings here, you can set what you want to charge the battery to. It shows you what it'll be once it's charged up. You can create a schedule for when you want the vehicle to power on, if you want to make sure that it's at a certain temperature when you're leaving the house. And then I love this because it shows you your energy usage. So it says, hey, you've been using this much for the battery conditioning and climate, this much is actually from driving, and then this much is from actually remote starting the vehicle. And then all of your charging options or settings are there, excuse me. Now for the cameras, this is one of the coolest things about this truck, I think. You have the 360 there. This is actually the front camera. And then we have the backup camera where I lower the tailgate. That's just showing where it's folded down. But one of the coolest things is, running through all this real quick, being able to see underneath the truck itself and so many viewpoints, so when you're off-roading you can make sure you're not about to to curb the truck or hit the undercarriage or stuff like that. And you also have my favorite thing, which is this bed view camera. So if you have something in the back you want to keep an eye on, you're able to do so. And then for your settings, you can change your time and date, the display, all of that's right in here. And then rear climate controls. And then you have an off-road setting, which I had up earlier, but that's how you can get to that there. Now for the climate controls for the front, pretty cool setup. That's part of the screen there, but you have buttons to actually use all of this. So it's not touch screen. You just have to toggle those little switches. But for instance, if you want to set your cooled seat, hit that, and then you can control that up or down or turn the heat on. And then hit that to go back, and then you can use it as a sync, AC, heat, and then to change the fan direction, you can turn all those on. And then if you want to set it to auto, you just turn everything off. And fan speed can be adjusted here. You can cut the whole system off, auto mode, and then your other zone for the climate controls is right there. And you can also do that heated cooled seat by hitting that button. And volumes here, you can click that to mute. Again, the sound system is fantastic in this. Heated steering wheel toggles here, differential locks are here, hazards, traction control, parking sensors, and then something that's great to have in a truck like this is the park assistance. So put it in drive, hit that button, it'll start looking for parking spaces. Now over here, we have the wireless charging pad, a USB-A, USB-C port there, and then you can fold all that up. And then for the shifter, hit the button on the side, and then you have the low gear, which maximizes your regen when you're not in one pedal drive, neutral, reverse, P for park. You can go through your drive modes here. So my mode, off-road, terrain, tow haul, normal. And then crab walk, you can activate that there. And then you can turn the rear wheel steering to auto off, or you can hold it and actually go into the actual crab walk setting. And then you can lower or raise your suspension, and then your watch the freedom button is right there. And then over here, center console cubby space, removable tray, 12 volt in there. Rear camera mirror. There's a view of the back seat from up here. And then back to the steering wheel. Blinkers are here. Auto high beam toggle is there. Low beams, corners, auto. We can turn the autos on and off there. And we can fool with our regen just by hitting that button. Cruise controls are here. You can set the speed, cancel, collision alert, gap adjust. This is also for the adaptive cruise, and then the SuperCruise activation. Just hit that button there. And then we have a mute button, voice recognition, and we can scroll through our right side of the gauge cluster right there. You can change your units from US to metric, and then go to the info page options, mess with the display layout, all of that there. And there's the actual info page itself. So that's everything I have up. So energy uses, suspension travel, excuse me, and then tire pressure sensors, etc. Just a lot going on here. And that's a good look at that. And then windshield wiper controls are over here. We do have automatic wipers, so there's one time, off, auto, low, high, and then we can adjust our auto sensitivity here. And then we can pull up here for the front wiper fluid. Now behind the steering wheel on the left side, we have our track list of radio station presets we can toggle. And then behind on the right side, if I can get back there, volume up, volume down. Push button starts here. Trailer brake controller is there. Finally, here's the key fob once again. And now for what I'm most excited about, let's go ahead and take this 2023 Hummer EV pickup out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this Hummer EV, very quick, very, very quick. It's so weird because this thing is ginormous. But I mean, This is just nuts, just all that's going on here. Now, right off the bat, I will say having these roof panels here, especially when you're driving, they're creaking quite a bit. But if you're driving this, especially with this Bose sound system, it's probably not going to bother you that much. It does have more of an off-road feel due to, you know, having the creaking roof panels. I kind of feel like it reminds me of the old T-tops, which is basically what it is. And then on top of that, just having this huge open space. It's nostalgic but futuristic at the same time. And this has a pretty wide stance, so I'm glad I'm on these wider roads here. But just with how, I guess, tight the steering is, it's not necessarily tight, but it doesn't feel like I'm driving a dually, even though this is about as wide as one. It makes it that much, you become more confident driving this thing, let me put it that way. And a lot of that has to do with just the visibility here. Even though the hood is kind of coming out on the sides here, I'm able to see how the hood is sloped down in front of me, so it just makes visibility that much better. But honestly, unless, we'll see when I get it up to speed, but right here it's very simple, very easy to drive and keep in the lines. It doesn't feel as big as it is. Now we'll see as we get on the interstate how that changes, and then we'll see how the SuperCruise helps. And I don't know why I'm yelling. I think I'm just excited to drive this thing. But so far the road noise, and I mean the road noise, of course you can hear these huge tires. They're extremely loud, but there's like a propulsion sound going on in here too, and it pairs perfectly with that, and it just makes it more enjoyable, I think. Now again, even though this is quite a wide vehicle, just how easy it is to see out of, and just how you can, just the steering and everything, it makes it so simple. Like, I don't feel like I have to keep both hands on the wheel, and I don't feel extremely dangerous here. Let me put it this way, the steering feel is plush, but it's still, I feel like I'm in control of the vehicle. So when I hit a bump, I don't feel like the steering wheel is gonna jerk to one side or the other. So it's just a perfect steering feel for a vehicle that's this big, that you might be a little uncomfortable with at first driving just because of how huge it is. But again, it doesn't feel that big, and that makes you feel even more confident driving it. Now we're gonna take it on this back road here, and we're gonna see how it handles and see how much its weight shows out here. So I'm giving it a little throttle coming in this corner here. Now it's easy to control, but as you kind of go into corners, it does, you have a little bit of body roll there, and you can especially hear the tires as you come into those tight corners. But all in all, it's still pretty easy to handle. And what's really helpful is this lane keeping system I have on here. I like that it doesn't intrude as much as you'd expect, but as you start going out of the lines, it's like, hey, just letting you know, I'm gonna nudge you back a little bit. So it's not intrusive at all, like pretty much every other system that I've experienced in a GM vehicle. But I also haven't gone out of the lines that much either, so that might have something to do with it as well. I'm gonna give it some throttle here. I mean, this thing just pulls crazy, and that's where it really starts to show its weight, is when you just put your foot to the floor. It's nuts. We'll put our foot down again. Wow, oh my gosh. Oh, that's fun to do. Now again, especially like coming down that curve there, it was wanting to get away just a little bit. So you want to be very, very hard on the steering wheel there and make sure it doesn't get away from you. But man, this thing, gosh, it's just so huge. And the fact that it's going as fast as it is makes it even crazier. Well, let's try this SuperCruise out. Now, wind noise is pretty prevalent. Of course, you do have these transparent roof panels here, so you're gonna have some wind noise. But insulation, in my opinion, is pretty good. It's not as loud as a Jeep is, not as loud as a Bronco with a soft top. Even the hard top, I think, might be a little louder than this, but impressive sound acoustics all the way around. The tires are, of course, a bit intrusive, not really bothersome. Again, you have this 14 speaker Bose sound system that is killer. It'll take care of all of that noise for you unless you want to hear it. And especially if you were to have the roof panels off, I think it helps having this loud of a system so you can still listen to your music while you have the windows down, the roof off. And with this being an electric truck, I think you get I think the EPA ended up rating it like 320 miles on a charge or something like that. Especially if you have a solar setup. It is thirsty, but you could pretty much be self-sufficient with a vehicle like this if you had enough juice coming from the sun. And I think that's what's neat about this Hummer, especially when you think about the older ones that were getting 6 miles a gallon. Oh man. So it's neat to see how GMC has made this a whole different animal. Gosh, this thing pulls like crazy. But a very, very impressive truck. And I have one on reserve for 2024, and I've been changing my mind, going back and forth if I want to get it, but I'm definitely getting it now because this is there's just something about being behind the wheel of one of these. It's just so much fun to drive. It's actually very comfortable. The ride quality is great. And if you're on the interstate where it might be a little harder to keep in the lines, the SuperCruise takes care of all that for you. So the only downside of this is going to be the price and how heavy it is, but that's kind of a gift and a curse in my opinion. But this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2023 Hummer EV pickup.